Sonic Project 06 is one of my favorite Sonic games of all time. A game that brings the worst of the worst into the light. Which begs the question, what makes it so good? More importantly, why is it as impressive as it is? Well, the answer to that is the sole fact that this fan game fixes everything that was wrong about the original Sonic 06, one of the worst mainline Sonic games. The one thing that was kept from the original 06, aside from its godly music, is the levels themselves and how they were designed. The only difference, that there is far better character handling and level pacing, thus giving all of the levels an insane amount of replayability, which is why I'm going to be able to rank every single stage there is. Not only will I be able to, I will. I will be going through all 9 main areas in the game, as well as talking about each individual character's version of the stage. Please note, this is all my opinion, and you are free to disagree. Also, I know that End of the World will be in the final release of P-06, but I feel like it's a bit too different to be compared to all of the other stages, so I'm just gonna do the ranking now. Hope you all understand. Anyways, gotta go rank. Unfortunately, in last place, we have Radical Train. When it comes to every level in this game, I consider them all to have a lot of replayability, and because of that, it's quite difficult to find the worst. Because of Radical Train's simplicity due to it being an event stage, this one in my opinion ranked the weakest. The level design here is fine enough, but when compared to other levels, this one is less satisfying. Shadow's version of this stage is kinda lacking, as the combat sections are significantly less, and the ending is kinda annoying to set up. It's the weakest of the 3. Silver's is a bit better, as destroying enemies is a bit more satisfying along with the skips, but that's purely because Silver is a really fun character on its own, so it's not putting the level at any favor. Sonic's version is the best because it's the only one that feels actually complete. With Shadow, it was Sonic's first half but shorter, and Silver only had Sonic's first half. Sonic gets everything he needs in this level, and because of that, you can enjoy this level as much as possible thanks to the skips and platforming. Radical Train isn't in last place because it's poorly designed. It's still really good, but it leaves a bit to be desired compared to the rest, so it ranks in last place for that reason, along with more impressive levels that we already have here. Next is White Acropolis, and this one feels damn near right in spite of the low placement. Unlike Radical Train, this one actually feels consistently complete. Silver's is the weakest of the 3 in my opinion, because the one section of taking down the pillars is a little annoying, but other than that, it's really enjoyable. Sonic's is the midway point, as the snowboard section is fun, and the Tails section of destroying the pillars is a lot more fun compared to Silver's. Shadow's portion is the best because his beginning lets you roam around the most free, and Rouge's section is short enough to get by. What all 3 of these have in common is that they all have an incredibly open final act, and one that all 3 Hedgehogs explore extremely well. Sonic and Silver's goes through the end of the stage like typical fashion, but Shadow's is special, as you have to explore the entire area looking for all of towers. Because there's a lot of enemies in the way, and because Shadow's combat is awesome, I think you can get why I enjoy his White Acropolis more than the rest. The only reason why this stage is as low is because of personal preference. I personally find more fun in stages we have above, and I also find them more memorable. Despite this level being really good, even amazing, it just doesn't make me play it straight away. Next is Dusty Desert. In the original Sonic 06, this was one of the worst levels in the game. You have Shadow's bad combat in the original, Amy's awful handling, and Silver's bad as hell ball puzzle. Because we're talking about Project 06 instead of Retail 06, this is the first one on the list that is impressively improved. Sonic's version is the weakest due to it being a little too short, but the level design is still great. It's very open and satisfying to go through. The other hedgehogs got it far better though, as Shadow Stage is very fun. Because of the amazing combat that replaced the original 06's combat, along with the section with Omega, Shadow's Dusty Desert is an excellently satisfying experience. Even though it does pale in comparison to the other final levels in the game, it still gets the job more than done. So yeah, it gets a win. The only issue being the poor direction in the beginning. I think Chaos X might need to remove this section of the level since it has no significance and would definitely increase the replayability of this level, as it is one of the only parts of the original 06 level design that is quite poor. Other than that, banger final level for Shadow. Silver's Dusty Desert. From the worst version of the stage to the best. An incredibly satisfying level with incredible flow, enemy destruction, Amy being actually fun, and the ball puzzle is actually a fun puzzle. All they had to do is look at what was hated and find ways to make it fun. Silver's Dusty Desert is damn near perfect in Project 06, which is funny because in the original 06, it was irredeemable. Because of the small flaws of Sonic and Shadow's versions though, it ranks lower than the others, but still, Chaos X succeeded on what he needed to do with this level, big time. A hot take that I have about these 06 levels. I always preferred Tropical Jungle over Dusty Desert. I'm sure this wouldn't be said for Silver's case, but with Sonic and Shadow, Dusty Desert is generally looked at as a better level than Tropical Jungle, even for Project 06. However, I think this level is better than that stage in most aspects, even in the original. Rouge's Tropical Jungle was infamous in the original, as you were able to skip a lot of the level pathetically easily. In P-06, while it is still the weakest of the three, the fact that they made it a treasure hunting stage made this a significant upgrade. The Emerald Radar is pretty good, as it follows the inspiration from Sonic Adventure 1, only with far larger level design compared to Adventure 2, which honestly suits this radar a lot more honestly than any of the levels from Adventure 1 did. Sonic's Tropical Jungle is fun as well, and has a longer length, more interactivity, as well as a harder S-rank than Dusty Desert, something Project 06 struggles with. Silver's Tropical Jungle has some of the most impressive skips and open areas in the game. The S-rank is also challenging here, which makes it even better. Because of that, Silver's version of the stage is once again the best here. I just think this stage has a lot to offer, even if it's not the best. Also, on a side note, the setting is so beautiful, and some of the best in the game, showcasing the upgraded graphics of P-06 at its best. Now we have the intro level of the game, Wave Ocean. For the first level, by default, it's pretty awesome. For Sonic and Tails, they're in the daytime, and these versions of the stage are well designed, even if the weakest. Sonic's version is very straightforward, but it makes sense for the intro level. The pathways are interesting in spite of them being exposed to the naked eye. There's still a lot of teaching that the game does without needing to physically tell, and it's overall a load of fun. Tails' version has really nice and challenging platforming, and because of him being fun to play, the level itself is fun too, even if it's the weakest of the four. Shadow's version of this stage is outstanding. The beginning has you flying and killing enemies, you play as Omega for a good bit, and the rest of it is pure Shadow gameplay, and arguably the best Shadow gameplay in the entire game. You have very open areas where you use Chaos Mode for Shadow and completely demolish everything in sight. The platforming is nice and challenging once again, and the pacing is overall just great. It's the best that Shadow's gameplay has to offer. In spite of that, Shadow doesn't have the best version of Wave Ocean. Blaze does. Blaze's Wave Ocean alone is one of the best levels in P-06. You have the beautiful sunrise Wave Ocean as opposed to the sunset that Shadow had. It still looked really good. The platforming is top tier, the pathways and skips are awesome, it's just an incredible level. But it's not my all-time favorite, as it is the halfway portion of this ranking. Next up is Aquatic Base. Much like Dusty Desert, this is also a contender for the worst original Sonic 06 stage. The clunky combat, as all three hedgehogs are poor, the mechanics including this stupid ball mechanic, and the hitboxes were just abysmal on everything. However, since Project 06 realizes and improves upon Sonic 06, this level is just bliss. It's during the end of each character's story, so the difficulty will pick up, but not too much. Sonic's version of his stage, while my least favorite of the three, it's still an awesome level and very climactic. Because of Sonic's improved handling, the linear level design working a lot better, considering the amount of action and occasional skips that you can find in this level, it's just wow. Oh, and this ball mechanic works far better than the original 06. Seriously, this thing was so goddamn stiff. I also love how you play as all three of the characters here. Since they're all improvements to their retail counterparts, it doesn't feel as pace-breaking. It's one of the main reasons why I consider this game the best execution of playable characters, although I will go into my detail on my review of Project 06 when the final release drops. Shadow and Silver's version of the stage are a lot more combat focused than Sonic, and because of the clever enemy placement this time around, this is an easy win for the two. I do prefer Silver's version because Silver's movement is a lot more fun than Shadow, along with a few more skips to pull off, but still, all three versions of Aquatic Base are simply awesome and they don't need anything else said about them. Moving on. Next is one that's very iconic. Crisis City. This stage is just iconic, and much like Sonic Generations, along with the rest of these Project 06 levels, Crisis City is done massive justice. Sonic and Shadow's Crisis City take place at the same time, and Silver's takes place earlier on in the story while taking place at night. Very interesting detail. From best to worst, Shadow's run of it does feel less eventful than the rest, as well as me preferring the playstyle of Sonic and Silver, but it's still a great enough level since there's a lot of enemies to find here and overall good flow. Silver's is the most unique of the bunch, and it's great at teaching his gameplay in spite of it being the first level for Silver. It's definitely around the same quality as the rest of his stages are, given his platforming and well-timed skips with his improved dash. Playing as Blaze here is just as fun. Sonic's is definitely the best of the bunch. You get a satisfying snowboard section, high-speed action platforming with incredible paths and skips thanks to the gems, and an intense Mach speed section. This is a phenomenal level and one of my favorites both in retail and Project 06. You'd think with three different hedgehogs, different focuses on each of them, this level's one focus wouldn't work as well, but that one focus is combining the appeal of each style of gameplay and mashing it into one. A near perfect level this one was. On the contrary, Flame Core was the worst main level in the original, as it was never in any of the hedgehogs' favor. It was the one that suffered from the most technical problems with the characters and the most amount of bugs in a stage, at least from what I played and remember. Now, in Project 06, this level is epic. Sonic's version is a load of fun, even if it's my least favorite. The platforming is top-notch, the pacing of this level is top tier, and the different ways you can experience the stage is just chef's kisses. Much like Aquatic Base though, Shadow and Silver gets the upper hand here due to the enemy pool, high skill ceiling of the levels, as well as a few occasional extra paths. Shadow's combat alone makes this level, and it's not even funny. I get so much enjoyment out of the stage that I lose my train of thought. Thing is, Silver's is even better. It has the best skips and platforming sections out of any Silver stage, and the best final level vibe out of the three final levels in each story. This is one of the most satisfying levels I have ever played in this series. I legit hold this level to the high standards of top tier official Sonic games because of how much it gets right. I love this level. This level in particular can easily be switched with the current number 1. but due to personal preference, it ended up being number 2. Speaking of number 1, that award goes to the beautiful Kingdom Valley. Much like Crisis City, Kingdom Valley was an iconic level, and in my opinion, the best level in Retail 06. The worst aspects of 06 were at their minimum, and the level design was great. This level was also due for redemption. Project 06 and Shadow Generations were showcases of this redemption. All positives with the original were kept, and the problems were taken care of. Shadow's version was earlier on in the story, and in spite of the level being the weakest, I can't say I have any problems with it. The combat sections are top notch as always, the hidden areas are cool, and the treasure hunting with Rouge was fun, much like Tropical Jungle. With the vehicles being a massive improvement, I think you can understand why I'm still a massive fan of this level. A certified banger. Silver's version is better because of his nature and gameplay, aka fun skips to pull off, enemy termination. It's just a blast, and with how this level is set up in particular, it makes it even better. The only issue? Just a little short, but otherwise, banger. Sonic's version of the stage is also the best level design of the whole game, along with some of the most eventful feelings and best visuals. The pathways, skips, pacing, platforming, everything. Top all of that off with an already memorable setting for the stage, along with the music, and the fact that this level ranks high with all the other hedgehogs. I think it's easy to understand why I consider this the best level in Project 06, as well as one of the best Sonic levels of all time. And with that, that is where this short scripted video comes to a close. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I know this wasn't the highest quality video that anybody could see, but I did have a lot of fun making the rankings for this, and I also had a lot of fun just speaking about one of my favorite Sonic games, as I said before. I do also want to say that my review for Project 06 will come after a review of the original Sonic 06. So, for those who are wanting this review as soon as possible, you're gonna have to wait on that. But with that, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you're interested in seeing more content like this. And go check out some of my gaming videos along with some live streams that I've done. I plan on doing a lot more of them. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Goodbye, everyone.